Breaking news on KSHB 41 News starts right now.
I was afraid the windows were going to smash, and then we slid, and then we came to a stop, and it was silent for, I don't know, a mile.
You know, it's a terrible situation. I do know that there's several cars that have been derailed.
Amtrak chase train derailment, multiple injuries.
We hit a truck. Someone was crossing tracks.
Breaking right now, more than 200 passengers and at least 12 crew members taken off the tracks by a derailed train. Missouri State Highway Patrol confirms there are 3 people who died after Amtrak's Southwest chief hit a dump truck as it crossed those tracks. 2 were on the train and another person in the truck. We just learned more than 40 people were transported. Several agencies report 8 cars and 2 locomotives were involved in this derailment.
We're continuing to receive video from viewers, including this one here. This was taken by a man who was inside the train when it derailed. You can see the train is on its side. Passengers were thrown from their seats when the cars flipped. We heard from some passengers in our 5 o'clock hour. We interviewed them live, and they mentioned being completely disoriented. So this all happened about 2 hours outside of Kansas City, just before 1 o'clock this afternoon, just southwest of Mendon, Missouri. The train was headed from Los Angeles to Chicago.
As this story continues to develop, our team is out in Mendon to bring you team coverage.
Leslie Delaspore is live at the scene, and Dan Cohen learned the latest information from police just within the last half hour. But first, though, we do want to start with Kevin Holmes, who's live from the school where many of those victims are being housed right now.
Kevin, quite a turbulent scene there in Mendon tonight.
Indeed, in the small town of Mendon, the small town that has only 171 people. However, there are more people than that in this gym on the school grounds here at Northwest High School, because it's a small town with really a big outpouring of support as folks are coming to the scene to assist all of those passengers that were on this train. Off to my distance, we can't show you that right now due to privacy reasons, but several of the patients are being treated right over there. You see Red Cross, you see first responders, and several people here in the gym still passengers still awaiting what's going to happen next. You got to realize this plane was coming all the way from Los Angeles to Chicago. In fact, these 2 right here, Jahan and Melissa, they're from the Chicagoland area. And walk me through what happened. You guys were on one of the trains, one of the cars rather, that was derailed. Walk me through the moments leading up to that derailment.
I feel like most of us were just asleep at that time, just kind of minding our own business, just waiting for the trip to go by, because it is quite a long trip. And then we just feel a sudden hit, and then I don't know. Everything up until then was kind of shaky until the whole car just turned to its side. At that point, lots of us were kind of just thrown off our bearings, and some people were hurt after. Just trying to assess the situation was very chaotic, but luckily some adults kind of stepped up, got things in order, assessed the injured, and we were able to sort everything out. And
Melissa, I understand you guys from the Chicagoland area. I understand that you guys are still awaiting tonight where you guys are staying. Walk me through what you guys are waiting for right now.
So right now we're just waiting for information from Amtrak about our suitcases, because they sell majority of our suitcases. A lot of people suitcases, and then still for accommodation for a night, because we don't know where we're going to be spending a night. I heard some information about where we're going to be sleeping in tents, but I'm not sure. Maybe hotels. But so right now we just don't know information about that at all.
I saw you a short while ago. You had something like an ice pack over your head. How you feeling? Talk to me a bit about any injuries you may have sustained. How are you feeling right now?
Right now I feel fine. It's just a bump on my head. I'm not sure. It's probably caused it when I fell, but right now it's fine. It doesn't hurt as much, so it's fine right now.
Well, Jahan, Melissa, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Melissa, they're waiting instructions from first responders. They tell me the American Red Cross is on the scene. They're meeting right now, as well as Amtrak leaders, to find out exactly where it is they are staying tonight. And as many of the passengers here await their next move, need to be fed. I mean, they were on this train for hours. In fact, they were waiting for hours. Several passengers tell me the train was delayed for about 3 hours. Right now, there's an outpouring of food here, pizza, a lot of toiletries, a lot of water and snacks from Casey's, so that the folks here can eat, as well as the first responders, as they take care of all the passengers as they await their next instructions as to whether or not they're staying. Some of them are waiting for family members to come here. I also talked with a woman from the Excelsior Springs area, and she describes the moments leading up to that crash and what happened shortly thereafter. Take a listen.
It was very loud. To be honest, it was a lot like you see in the movies. I know that sounds silly, but things felt like they were going in slow motion. You were seeing debris flying through the air. Like I said, I had the wherewithal to kind of tuck when I was getting broken loose from the ledge. I just kind of tucked into a ball and felt everything as it was happening. And then everything went quiet, and as the train came to a stop, and then everybody starts calling out to each other to see how everybody's doing and trying to figure out which end of the train we were going to be able to get out of and opening windows and things like that.
That call and response, a lot of people making sure their loved ones are okay. Thankfully, Ms. Miller tells me everyone in her car, they heard a response from their loved ones. So to her knowledge, everyone in the car she was riding in is safe. But I got to tell you, on the way up here, I received several text messages, tweets, Facebook posts from several people saying, hey, I've been on that rail, the Southwest Chief Rail that goes from Los Angeles all the way to Chicago, making that stop in Kansas City. I have several loved ones who've been on that rail coming to visit me from Chicago here to Kansas City. So this really strikes home, it strikes a chord to so many people here. Let's get out to KSHB 41 News reporter Leslie Delaspore, who's also covering this story. She's at the crash site with more. Leslie, bring us up to date on what you've learned since that 5 o'clock news conference.
That's right, Kevin. I want to bring you guys up to speed here, but I'm going to step out of the shot because I want to give you a glimpse of what I'm looking at right now. So just to the left over here, my photographer Jason is going to pan as I show you. This is the direction that the train was coming, where the dump truck met the train here at this public crossing. Now, as he continues to pan on your screens here, crews are still working to assess the damage again at the site where this train met this dump truck. As you can see, parts of the dump truck, we're walking through a few crews here, but as you can see, parts of the dump truck are completely sticking out. The container of the dump truck is completely detached as well. Crews here tell me that they've completed recovery at this time. But just down the tracks here, these cars are still on their side. Crews are still assessing the scene as we see loads of luggage sitting in the gravel just further down. Now, as you heard earlier, officials are reporting 3 fatalities from this accident here. Now, just near the truck, there was a conductor just a few moments ago. He just appeared off our screens, but he seemed to be on the phone and being consoled, and that was the conductor from the Amtrak train. Now, we have full coverage on this derailment, so be sure to stick with KSHB 41 News for the latest. And coming up later in the 6 o'clock hour, I do have a farmer who farms a lot of this land along this train track here, who's going to be talking about some of the issues that he brought to the railroad about the dangers of this public crossing. Live near Minden, Leslie Delaspore, KSHB 41 News.
I wanted to update you guys on a group of people we spoke with last time at 5 p.m. We spoke with a group of teachers and students. They came from Pleasant Ridge High School, that's in Leavenworth County, and their teacher and a group of students were headed towards Chicago to go to an FBLA conference. And we spoke with some students who were on that train. They described their experience, how they helped people out and really stepped up to get off the train together. I spoke with Lorelei. Lorelei was headed to Chicago, and now her parents have just come here to pick her up. I think, guys, you have a big embrace. What was that like seeing her here?
I don't know, awesome. Just thankful that she's alive. Praising God.
I think, Lorelei, you had called your parents when you got off the train. What was that like hearing their voices too?
It was just crazy because, like, you of course just start with "I'm okay," and to even say the words out loud that my train went off the tracks and I had to climb out the window was just crazy, and it was good to hear that they were okay.
Mom, you sent your daughter on a school conference trip.
It didn't even occur to me that something like that would happen, and it was really scary. I'm really glad that she's okay.
What was that like, hearing that phone call, getting in the car, driving 2+ hours?
Felt like a lot longer than 2+ hours. It was hard to wait.
I think now when you leave this school, what are your plans together?
Sleep.
We're going to hang out at home together for a few days, for sure.
Thank you, guys. I'm glad you guys are now together. Dan, I want to send it over to you guys.
Megan, thank you so much. We're about 20 miles from where you are right now. We're at Lynn County Central Dispatch, where Missouri State Highway Patrol briefed us within the last hour and again confirmed 3 people died in this train derailment on this train that was bound for Chicago from Los Angeles. Missouri State Highway Patrol described where this accident happened. Take a listen.
It's an uncontrolled crossbuck intersection on a gravel road, so no lights, no electronic control devices, things such as that.
Well, that's pretty common to this area then?
A lot of your rural intersections are that way, yes.
Missouri State Highway Patrol told us that this investigation is going to continue into tomorrow. They did not know exactly how many people are injured, but you saw with our other team at the school nearby with Megan and Kevin that there are a lot of people being tended to. If we get any additional information from Missouri State Highway Patrol as this investigation unfolds, we will bring it to you on air and online. Reporting live in Marceline, Missouri, Dan Cohen, KSHB 41 News.
Thanks for that, Dan. We've been updating our timeline of events on our website since we first received reports of that derailment. You can see all of the photos, you can see all of the video, the interviews, tweets from passengers and Missouri leaders. This is the route that the Southwest Chief was supposed to take on its route from Los Angeles to Chicago. Now, we also understand some of you may have family or friends who are on board the train. Take a moment, turn your attention to the screen. You can call this number to contact the Amtrak hotline if you're in need of more information about a loved one. That number, 800-523-9101 to contact the Amtrak hotline. We'll continue our coverage on this breaking story happening in Minden, Missouri after a short break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We continue to monitor that breaking news involving that fatal train derailment. As we learn more about what happened in this crash, we are also talking to experts about rail safety. KSHB 41 News reporter Andres Gutierrez joins us live in the newsroom. And Andres, you spoke with a safety expert and a retired Amtrak employee. So what did you learn from him?
Caitlin, that retired Amtrak conductor told me that they do drills for derailments once a year. Those usually take place in a classroom setting. Michael Hallahan explained that they evacuate the train. They do a head count at a staging area that they deem safe. Then they'll cross-reference the train's manifest. Nowadays, every conductor is issued an iPhone with the exact number of passengers on the train, their names, and their destination. And right now, there also a number of agencies working together on the investigation, and here's why.
Amtrak does not own the tracks. It's a freight railroad, so they would work with them and several other agencies to conduct. Basically, what they will do is go over the train itself with a fine-tooth comb, make sure everything was working correctly. They will drug test the entire crew. They will assess the condition of the tracks, the crossing, and also if, I'm hearing it struck a vehicle, so that will be a factor as well.
He went on to say the NTSB will release the preliminary report within a few months. Their official findings may take years. Reporting live at the newsroom, Andres Gutierrez, KSHB 41 News.
Thank you, Andres. Again, this train was coming from L.A. to Chicago, but it made a stop in Kansas City at Union Station this morning. In fact, Union Station had this statement they released about the derailment. Our hearts are with the Amtrak family, passengers and passenger families, and first responders impacted by the derailment of the Southwest Chief, serving Kansas City and en route to Chicago from Los Angeles. Governor Parson visited Kansas City for multiple events today and spoke about the train derailment. Here's what he had to say.
It's a terrible situation. I do know that there's several cars that have been derailed. We do believe there could be some fatalities, but again, it's way early on. I'm getting information as I drove over here, but it's very unfortunate anytime you have a derailment of a train and multiple cars. It's not a good day. So, right now our thoughts and prayers are with the people that were on that train, the family, the rescue people, but a lot of things have to take place right now. So we're monitoring that as we go, but it's a bad scene.
Several other lawmakers are responding to the derailment as well. Senator Josh Hawley said, quote, "We are closely watching this emergency situation as it develops and stand ready to help however we can." Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler said, quote, "I'm following this horrific situation closely and praying for all involved in this derailment."
Senator Roy Blunt said, quote, "Terrible news of a train derailment in Sheridan County this afternoon. We are thinking of all those affected and grateful for our first responders, ready to assist with any federal resources that may be needed." Meanwhile, there are still plenty of questions surrounding this derailment and what, if anything, could have been done to prevent it.
A lot of those questions will have answers that come down the line, but our I-team has been digging into this incident throughout the afternoon to learn more.
And now they're bringing us team coverage tonight. Sarah Blake joins us live from the newsroom to share. She has more details around the frequency of train derailments and how that can affect the metro.
But first, we turn to Cameron Taylor to share how this investigation will now unfold. Cameron?
Yeah, Dee and Caitlin, we're getting new details by the minute. We know the Federal Railroad Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board are involved. The Federal Railroad Administration, or FRA, tells me there will be several components to this investigation. So here's what will happen. They will inspect the track, each of the locomotives and the train cars. They'll also pull the black box and interview eyewitnesses and passengers. The FRA says the NTSB will be the agency to look at the intersection where this happened. So the question now is whether any changes will be made to that area. We know from the Missouri Highway Patrol it was an uncontrolled crossing, meaning no lights or signals. For the KSHB 41I team, I'm Cameron Taylor.
Thanks for that, Cameron. We also wanted to give you some context into how often derailments happen, so we pulled the most recent statistics we could find.
KSHB 41 investigator Sarah Blake joins us now live with an in-depth look at how often Amtrak derailments have happened this past year. Sarah, what did you find out?
Well, we pulled data from the Federal Railroad Administration. It covers incidents from the first 3 months of the year, and we found out there were 2 derailments in Missouri and 68 derailments nationwide during that time period. We checked, and there were 28 derailments caused by, quote, objects on the track. And we'll continue to dig into this information. For the I-Team, I'm Sarah Blake.
All right, Sarah, thank you. A reminder, this situation continues to develop here this evening. As we get new information by the hour, we will bring you the latest details here on air and online as we learn new details around this fatal train derailment.
79 degrees in Kansas City right now, 58 degrees. Is that summer in Dodge City? We'll take a look at our forecast coming up.
Breaking news on KSHB 41 News starts right now.
We begin here at 6:30 with breaking news tonight. 3 people have died after an Amtrak train derails in rural north central Missouri. Hundreds were on board the Southwest Chief train en route to Chicago from Los Angeles. The train made a stop in Kansas City just hours before. There were more than 200 passengers when it derailed near Mendon, Missouri this afternoon.
More than 50 people were injured in this derailment today, and we've learned one person was taken to Truman Medical Center, University Health rather, in a helicopter. We begin our breaking news coverage this evening with KSHB 41 News reporter Leslie Dellismore, who's live at the site of the derailment. So Leslie, what's happening there now?
That's right, Caitlin. I kind of want to bring you guys up to speed from earlier. I'm going to step out of the shot to give you guys a view. Now, just to the left on your screen here, my photographer Jason is going to show you guys, going to pan as I show you now. This is the direction that the train was coming, where the dump truck met the train here at this public crossing as Jason continues to pan here. Now, on your screens, crews are still working to assess the damage of this dump truck. Now, more are arriving every moment, but as you can see, parts of the dump truck are completely sticking out. It appears the container of the dump truck is completely detached as well, right over these tracks that are pretty steep. But over here, I want to introduce you to a man named Mike Spencer. Mike, come over and talk to us for a second. Now, Mike, you own a lot of farmland along these tracks, right? And you told me that this crossing has had a lot of safety concerns that's concerned you and your family. So tell me a little bit about that.
We have been working with the railroad on getting this crossing fixed. We wanted them to build up the approach. It has no signal lights or arms on it. The track sits at an angle to the road. The road runs north and south. The tracks run southwest and northeast. And there's a lot of brush up and down the sides of the track that block the view of the vehicles crossing the track in line with their sight to see the trains. And I have worked with the county commissioners and with the railroad personnel. A year and a half ago, I was promised that this was going to get fixed. It was a priority, and nothing has been done. And now today we're standing here visiting about what kind of a tragedy that we have experienced today, and it's really sad.
And so, as we look kind of, to my left here, and we see these cars that are on their side, right? We see the luggage, we see people walking back and forth. When you see that, you said that this is something that could have been prevented, right?
Absolutely could have been prevented. Why they didn't continue to finish their project is beyond me. I was first given excuses, back then that they were waiting on getting paperwork in line. That was going to be July 1st, but that was not July 1st of this year. That was July 1st a year ago. In November and December, they had perfect opportunity to get in there and get the project done. They were going to work on 3 of these crossings. This is not the only one. We've got 3 of them in this area within a couple of miles. And we farm and border about 4 miles of this railroad track with our farm ground. And so we are very familiar with these crossings. We have to cross them. We have no choice but to cross them. There's not a lot of traffic on these roads, but we were very concerned, and I had predicted about 3 weeks ago that this was going to happen. And I'd actually videotaped a freight train coming through here running about 45 to 50 miles per hour about 2 weeks ago and put it on my Facebook because I was just warning people about it. And I would have done anything in my power. I would have fixed this crossing myself if I could have to avoided this. Why the railroad did not get on the bandwagon with us and try to get this fixed. But it absolutely could have been prevented.
Thank you, Mike. Well, I hope that you and the other residents here near Minden get some answers here soon. Now, again, we have extensive coverage on this accident that occurred here earlier today, so continue to stick with KSHB 41 News. Live near Minden, Leslie Delasport, KSHB 41 News.
Yeah, you heard there Leslie talking to that farmer who said that was a problem intersection and he had warned Amtrak about that. KSHB 41 News anchor Kevin Holmes, meanwhile, is live at a school in Minden where many of those passengers were taken.
Kevin, what are you learning?
You know, those passengers wondering, Caitlin and Dale, where they will be staying tonight. As Leslie was giving her live report, we just got an update about 30 seconds ago, literally, from the American Red Cross. They have been in contact with Amtrak officials. Amtrak officials will be en route here to Northwestern High School in a matter of minutes to talk with some of these families as to where they will be staying tonight. Some of them are still waiting on loved ones. Those of the passengers that are still here in the Kansas City area, waiting on their loved ones to come and pick them up. You'll hear from one in just a bit. But many of the people here are just thankful that they're alive, thankful but anxious, wondering when will they get their belongings. Some of them are still on the train. Where will they stay tonight? Will they ride Amtrak after this? A lot of you may be asking that to yourself or saying that, hey, I've been on that rail before, because I was myself. A few of us at the station, in fact, talking about an event later in St. Louis where we discussed traveling via Amtrak. Scary moments for several of these passengers as they still await the next instructions. Again, the Red Cross on the scene. They've been in contact with Amtrak leaders, but several of the people here don't know if they will get their belongings tonight or where they will stay. We caught up with the lady. Her husband picked her up a few hours ago. She lives in the Kansas City area, Excelsior Springs. She was on one of the trains that was derailed, and she describes the moments that followed. Take a listen.
The exit that was closest to me wouldn't open. And so then the people at the other end of the car that I was on announced that window was open. So I started heading that direction. So we crawled out between two cars, and it was a little bit of a jungle gym up to the top. There were people that had made it up to the top that were then helping, carry bags and pull people up and safely get off the train. They moved us to the other side of the tracks and then eventually started directing us back down towards the intersection where all the EMS people were showing up to help people. So.
You know, she was a bit shaken. That's why she didn't want to show her face on camera. Her husband had just arrived to pick her up. Hopefully she is safe and sound at home in the Excelsior Springs area, if not close to her home. She says she has a few bruises on her back and her arm. She'll get that checked out later. She was en route to Chicago for a conference where she would not attend. If there's one silver lining here, it is the outpouring of support, ladies. Really neighbor helping neighbor. This is such a small town, such a small county even. A little more than 7,000 people live in this county. Fewer than 200 people call this town of Minden, Missouri home. In fact, there are more people riding the train than there are who actually live here. But if you see here on the grounds here at Northwestern High School, you'll definitely see at least 400 or 500 people just helping some of these passengers as they await the next instructions from Amtrak and the American Red Cross. For now, we're reporting live here in Minden, Missouri. I'm Kevin Holmes, KSHB 41 News.
Kevin, thank you so much. A passenger who was on the train described the moment it derailed in an interview with CNN. Here's what they had to say.
I was in my sleeper, and I was dozing off. The train was running a bit late, so I decided to take a nap before my lunch reservation, and then I heard I don't know what I heard, and then everything started to go in slow motion, and then it started to tumble on my side of the room. I was afraid the windows were going to smash, so I shimmied myself up against the exit to the room, and then we slid, and then we came to a stop, and it was silent for I don't know a while, and then I heard some girls crying from the next room, and I got myself together, grabbed my backpack and my computer, and opened up my door and climbed into the hallway, and then climbed up into the room that was next to me, which is now above me. And then I saw an opening and a family getting out, and I got out and then I just sat on the roof. We all just sat there. The hardest part, from what I heard, was the people in the dining car and the observation deck, because they didn't have barriers to step on to get out, and that was all the cars were knocked over except the main engine. So the ladder cars got the worst of it. Ambulances all over. They were bringing stretchers to the train, and now there are ambulances here at the school assisting people inside the school. And everyone's been real nice. All the local people come out. The gentleman who's driving the cement truck or whatever, his wife came running up to the scene, and she wanted to see him. And they said no.
You can hear that man getting emotional as he talks about the woman claiming to be the truck driver's wife. Again, we know 2 fatalities on the train, 1 in that dump truck there. 50 more injured, some of them airlifted to area hospitals. We will have more later tonight from this train derailment in Mendon as the story develops.
We'll be right back.